Elbows up apparently is still a thing in Canada. I have my doubts. I'll let you know a little bit about that as we move through here, but we'll take a look at a few clips. Wow.
Elbows up movement seems to be still in full effect. New data shows even fewer Canadians are traveling to the United States than we thought. Researchers at the University of Toronto found the number of cross-border trips is much lower than figures reported by Statistics Canada. Much of the decrease is driven by President Trump's trade war and comments about making Canada the 51st state.
I do not believe that for a second. Go to America. Things are more expensive and we have a weak dollar, at least in the touristy areas. Are you kidding me? Elbows up. That is such a cope for Canadians being broadly way more poor than Americans.
CBC's Jay.
That's just a fact, by the way.
Tasker is following the story and joins us from Ottawa, and these numbers are really quite something. Tell us more about them.
Yeah, cratering Canadian travel to the U.S. has been a well-documented theme of the last year. Of course, we've talked a lot about it. Many travelers are avoiding going to the States because of President Trump, his 51st state taunts, and those industry-wrecking tariffs, frankly.
It's such cope. There's no way. I bet you that's true for a very small amount of people, not 42%. What a cope show here. This is so pathetic.
According to StatsCan data, cross-border travel was down about 25% last year, but new data from the University of Toronto's School of Cities shows that the decline may be even more dramatic than we previously thought. So they examined Canadian cell phone data, and they found that cross-border travel is down by actually 42%, nearly half. So stunning figures. Travel to some sun destinations, of course, where Canadians go to avoid that horrible winter weather that we sometimes had, have been particularly hammered. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, down 65%. So that's giving it the dubious title of the metro area with the steepest drop. Panama City, Florida, down 60%. Yuma, Arizona, down 62%. Orlando and Miami also down 58%. And what's interesting, Andrew, is that it's not just vacation spots. Travel to high-tech, financial, industrial centers is also way down. Look at San Francisco. It's off about 56%. Flint, Michigan, a major auto center, it's off 55%. Grand Rapids, Michigan, another part of the Rust Belt, an important part of the car industry, it's plummeted 54% over the last year. So areas that are hit hardest by Trump's tariffs also just happen to be parts of the U.S. where travel is also down dramatically. And really what's interesting is that researchers tell me it's a sign that business travel patterns are, essentially fundamentally shifting. Trump has reordered North American trade, and we're starting to see that play out in the travel data as well now.
You almost can't believe how pathetic it is. It's just that it happens all the time on Canadian media, so you can believe it, but this entire segment should just be called Canadians are super poor and can't afford vacations. Trips to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, down 65%. If you think that's because of elbows up, you're so out to lunch, dude. Are you kidding me? Yuma, Arizona, down 62%. That's because of elbows up? That's because people can't afford travel. We have a weak dollar, a weak economy. America has a way stronger economy, a way stronger dollar. I was just recently in California. It's very expensive there. Everything pretty much is more money and you pay with a weak dollar. So give me a break. It's funny, but it's pathetic. And here's another angle. Apparently a lot of the Buy Canada stuff is just all bullshit.
Something mysterious appears to be happening on store shelves at Sobeys across the country.
So it looks like the maple leaf symbol is gone from the coffee.
Those ubiquitous maple leaf symbols promoting Canadian goods seem to be disappearing.
No maple leaf here.
Steve Palmer has noticed it too.
The maple leaves are completely gone.
He's passionate about the Buy Canadian movement. So when he finds grocers promoting imported food as Canadian, also known as maple washing, he reports it to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency.
I do want the fraudulently labeling to stop.
Dude, worry about your own life. What the heck? I mean, who am I to say this, but why are you so delusional? Care about your own life. You're reporting that to somebody? What has the media done to a guy like this? Oh my gosh, the brainwashing in Canada is out of control.
Over the past year, Palmer has complained to the CFIA about several imported products found at Sobeys stores, like cantaloupe and nuts, that were promoted as Canadian.
That really upset me. It says California walnuts, and the label also says imported for Sobeys. There is nothing Canadian about these.
Standing united is important.
Since the Buy Canadian movement took off last year, Sobeys has used it as a marketing tool. But CBC News has learned the CFIA has received multiple complaints that Sobeys mislabeled food as Canadian, and that the agency recently investigated the grocer's head office. CBC visited several Sobeys-owned stores across Canada and found they had ditched the maple leaf symbol.
Finding Canadian products.
Consumer advocate Jay Jackson says it's hard to get inside the mind of Sobeys, but
I assume it's them talking to their lawyers.
Can you imagine in 2021 if you saw somebody specifically trying to only buy Canadian products in a grocery store? I'm not joking. The dummies would call him a white supremacist. In 2021, that was like shame around Canada Day, celebrating Canada Day. If you were doing this type of stuff back then in 2022, when Biden was president, people would have called you so nuts for buying Canadian. That's obviously true, by the way.
Liability. They know that the government is watching closer.
since the start of 2025, the CFIA has identified 127 cases of maple washing involving retailers, but only 2 fines issued so far to grocers, $10,000 each to 2 Loblaw-owned stores. Another 2 received warnings.
I think we're well past the warning stage, and I would like to see significant fines.
Turns out that won't be the case for Sobeys this time. The CFIA says in response to its investigation, the grocer implemented corrective actions, so no penalties required. Sobeys did not respond to our inquiries.
Man, it's so crazy. So much of the news in Canada. Do you know what you barely ever hear? Economic growth numbers, entrepreneurship, being incentivized. In Canada, we have the weirdest priorities as a country. There's got to be other countries that have dumber priorities, but man, we are a leftist zoo up here. Final clip I'll play here is about Dunkin' Donuts coming back to Canada. Elbows up gets brought up. So stupid.
It'll be interesting to see if Canadians pick up on Dunkin' and what happens to Tim's results as a result of this move.
I don't even know if Dunkin' Donuts is good. I don't think maybe once I had it. Anyway.
Yeah, and you know, this morning, Bruce, we were talking about kind of the elbows up movement, perhaps going to elbows down. Do you think this kind of, not anti-American, but just this
American brand?
Yeah, American brand is going to have a strong presence here, given the threats to our sovereignty from the U.S. government.
Holy dude. Like, Trump said all that stuff over a year ago. Yes, he said it a little bit since then. I haven't heard a peep from Trump about that in a long time. So many people. The fake hysteria here is insane.
Yeah, it's an excellent question, and we'll have to see how that plays out. I mean, I think for the most part, Canadians have to do what they have to do individually for themselves. Certainly they want to support Canada, but at the end of the day, they got to live and they got to do what they want. So I think it's got a fair shot of getting some traction here. We have a lot of other American companies who employ a lot of Canadians, right? So it's not as black and white as it might seem in the political circles. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to watch this play.
Holy dude. So funny. I'll finish it there. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.